Lucid dreaming versus astral travel. Sometimes it can be hard to distinguish between the two when you just woke up and you had a very vivid experience. You were in control of yourself. You were maneuvering around in that reality. You remember all the details, and you may think, okay, I just had an OBE. I just had an astral travel experience, when really it was just a very vivid lucid dream. But then there may be times when you think that you just had a very vivid lucid dream, but really you came out of your body. So how do you know the difference between the two? And does it even matter? Well, yeah, because when it comes to the dream world, you could be in someone else's dream, dreamwalking, and not even know it. That brings on a whole other thing. And I want to talk about that as well, because it's important to know when you're in your own world, your own dream, and when you're in somebody else's world, someone else's dream, because you can influence someone else unintentionally or intentionally, which I do not recommend, but it's important to know. Also, keep in mind you can come out of your body from a lucid dream. So you can have an astral travel experience that first started out as a regular lucid dream, and then you had the OBE. Even for myself, as someone who's been lucid dreaming since I was 4 years old, and in astral traveling since I was 28, 29, which was 16, 17 years ago, you'd think that I would always know the difference immediately as I wake up or come back into my body. And the truth is no, because the lines can be very blurry. All the various different mystical experience that you have, as human beings, we always are putting labels to them. But sometimes the labels, it's like, okay, it doesn't fit into that category, it doesn't fit into that category. So what just happened? What is this? As time went on, as I got older, it became more of a challenge to distinguish between my lucid dreams and my astral travel experiences, because my lucid dreams were so much like my astral travel experiences that I'm like, what just happened? Was it this? Was it that? Until I realized that there were two primary ways to know the difference. So let's talk about it. Welcome back to another episode of the Mystical Recall podcast here at mysticalrecall.com. I'm Vernita C. Ray Sherman, and I'm an interdimensional traveler and OBE mentor that works with individuals having spontaneous out-of-body experiences who want to navigate those experiences with comfort and ease. All right, so let's get into the two primary ways to know the difference between lucid dreaming and astral traveling. And that first primary way is, how much control do you have in that reality? And there are three parts to that. So let me break that down. All right, so the first thing is, can you repeat the scenario that just played out? Which brings me to one of the main differences between lucid dreaming and astral traveling. And that is, when you're having a lucid dream, you simply are aware that you are dreaming. And so there's already a scenario that's playing out, just like any other dream, but you know what's happening and you can control yourself in that scenario. So let's say you're playing a video game, right? And the game is the way that it's going to be. Like, there is a scenario playing out, but you have the remote control and you can control what you as the player is going to do. However, what you can control is still based on the actual plot that's playing out in that game. That's lucid dreaming. Versus in an astral travel environment, there is no scenario that's playing out. It's just like this world where I come out of my body and I can just do what I want to do. I can create things with my mind. I can fly. I can go through walls and ceilings and do all these various different things. But there's not a scenario that's already happening that I just happen to be able to control. No. You are taking your astral body or your etheric body or your energy body, your spirit body, whatever you want to call it. And what's happening is it comes out, or I don't want to say separate, because it's never truly separate from your physical body. There's always a connection, but that's what it feels like. You can feel it drift away sometimes. Sometimes you don't feel it drift away. but it is this transparent, see-through version of yourself that leaves the physical body when the physical body is in a comatose or a relaxed state. It leaves it and it goes into the spirit realm and do whatever you want to do. All right? There is no scenario to repeat. It's just you're navigating the world like you navigate this reality. So, getting back to the dream world, in your lucid dream, you are aware that you are dreaming. There's a scenario playing out. You are the person. You are aware of what's happening. You can control yourself. Can you repeat the thing that just happened? Can you repeat it? Next time you have a lucid dream or you think you're having a lucid dream, something plays out. Repeat that thing. The whole way in which the scenario play out, use your mind to go back and repeat it. If you can repeat a scenario, that is the lucid dream. If you cannot repeat it because there's not even a scenario that even is there to repeat, you're having an astral travel experience or another type of OBE, right? Now, that's not the only way. That's why what I'm sharing with you right now, you want to use all of these ways, like when you wake up or you come back into your body. These are the things you want to think about. Does it check all these boxes? So this is one thing. So it's not like an absolute definite. If it's like this, then it's definitely this. If it's like that, then it's definitely that. But as someone who's been lucid dreaming a long time, like I said, there's a scenario that's playing out just like a regular old dream. You go back and repeat it. There's a lot of times when I'm like, oh, that was fun. I want to do that again. And I do it again. And I try to do it again and again. You see what I'm saying? Like, can you do that? That's one way to check. If you can, if there is a scenario, lucid dream. Now, number two, the second thing when it comes to what you can control, can you be another person in this reality? Now, this is very important. This is something that you can definitely tell whether you are lucid dreaming or having an astral travel experience. Let's say you're in your dream, you're lucid dreaming, you can repeat the scenario, whatever just played out, and now you want to be the other person that's in the dream. If there's somebody else, you want to be them. You want to experience from their point of view and do the scenario, do whatever from their perspective, like a role-playing game. And, it's been years since I played video games, but back in the day, back in the 80s, I used to love video games, 90s too. But anyway, so can you be that other person? With a lucid dream, you most definitely can. You can be anybody or anything. In an astral travel environment, no, you cannot, because whoever is there, they are whoever they are. You can't go up in there and control them unless you're going to force yourself and try to be them, like truly try to force yourself. It's not going to happen. That's not what happens in that type of reality. I'm not saying it can't happen, but that's usually not the case. You can't just take your mind and you're like, I'm that person, boom. You have your astral body that is associated with the physical body in this reality. And now you're just navigating the astral realm as the astral realm body person that you're navigating as in that spirit world. Okay. But trying to be somebody else, no. In a dream, absolutely. You can, okay, I want to be that person, experience from their perspective. You think about it, you become them. And then now you can do the scenario over again if you want to, or do whatever from their perspective. Try it. Try it. That's the second way when it comes to control, how much of the reality you can control, to tell whether you are lucid dreaming or astral traveling. The third way to determine whether you are in a lucid dream or you're astral traveling is, can you go through walls and ceilings easily? No problem. Astral realm? Absolutely. Lucid dream? Sometimes. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. And you may have trouble doing that. So in an astral plane, it's so much more fun, faster, easier to just glide instead of walk. You can do either one. But to glide or fly through something, an object, a door, so much easier to do it that way instead of opening the door and going through like that, like we do here. In the dream world, it's more of a challenge to go through the door in that type of way, or go through a ceiling, or go through a floor like you would in an astral experience. I don't know why, but it's more of a challenge to do so. And then sometimes when you're trying to go like through a ceiling, for an example, you get up to the ceiling, and because you may be thinking you're, astral traveling, you get to the ceiling part, and it's like it's not going. You can't go. And it's like, well, what is it? Why can't I go? You get up there, or you want to go through a window to go outside. You get to the window, and it's like it's not happening. Now that's not always the case. Yes, you can go through walls and ceilings in a lucid dream. I'm not saying you can't, but I'm saying if you ever get into a situation where you cannot, then 9 times out of 10, it's not an astral travel experience, because you're not going to have that trouble in an astral realm most of the time. These are not like rules of the OBE game and the lucid dreaming game. This is not always the case. I'm just saying that I've noticed with my experiences that that's usually the case. So those are things to look out for. So, again, the primary way of determining whether you're having a lucid dream or astral travel, those 3 things that I talked about was part of how much you can control of that reality. That's number 1. Number 2 is, whose world is it? Okay? You need to find out whose world it is. So the next time you're having what you think is a lucid dream, you simply ask someone that you see there, it doesn't matter who it is, ask them, whose world is this? If it's yours, they're going to say yours. Try that. Now, of course, you're not thinking about those type of things while you're in the dream. So this is an intention that you have to set of the question that you're going to ask before you go into the dream. So when you're laying in bed at night, think to yourself, I'm going to ask the question, whose world is this? Whether you think it's a lucid dream or astral travel, whatever. When you're lucid dreaming and you're in your own dream, the person, whoever is going to say yours. Try it. Just say, whose world is this? They're going to say, yours? You're lucid dreaming. Because when you're having an astral experience, you're sharing that realm, that spirit realm, that world, that astral world with a whole bunch of other folks. Just like in this reality, this isn't your world, it's all of our world. Okay? So what's interesting is when the answer is not yours, when they actually give you the name of a person. I'm like, the first time it happened, and they told me, I'm not going to say the person's name, but they said a name. And I was like shocked, because I knew that it was a lucid dream. And then when I'm like, whose world is it? And they said the person's name, it was like, what? What I should have asked after that is, who is so-and-so? Because it's not somebody that I personally knew. All right. So you also want to get used to asking questions. And this is something in general with out-of-body experiences, lucid dreams, any type of mystical type of experience. Get used to asking questions. And as the scenarios play out with the lucid dream, or the more you start having more experience with your out-of-body experiences, especially astral travel, you'll get familiar with certain things and start understanding what type of questions to ask, right? This is something that I work with clients with as well. But ask whose world it is, whose world is this, and see what they say. If they say someone else's name, you may be dreamwalking. So let's talk about that for a minute. Now, dreamwalking is when you're in someone else's dream. And usually with a dreamwalking type of experience, that's usually something that a person purposely does. It's a shamanic practice of going into someone else's dream where you can control their mind and influence their mind through the dream world. So usually this is done when someone is having some type of psychological issues, emotional issues, or health issues. And so the shamans would go into, do some type of ritual and all of that, and then go into the person's mind through a dream, through the dream world, literally walk into their dream. That's dream walking. And do what they do to influence them and assist in this reality, assist them in this reality. So then when they wake up, they will start thinking differently, feeling differently. And it may not happen immediately. It may take several sessions. But this is something that people usually, um, it's willfully done. It's invoked. It's something that you want to happen. It's not something that is spontaneous, although it can be. You can spontaneously end up in someone else's dream. There are also people who dream walk and they're doing some nefarious type of things. So when it comes to dream walking, integrity is key. When someone dream walks, you should have somebody's permission to be all up in someone else's dream. If you spontaneously end up in someone else's dream, and you absolutely can, do not try to influence that person. Please don't do that. You have to have integrity with this. You absolutely have to have integrity with this. It's not for us to go up in somebody else's mind and influence them when we don't even have their permission to do so. All right? So be in integrity with your abilities. Even when it happens spontaneously, please be in integrity with it. Now, I do make a distinction between dream walking versus consciousness traveling or consciousness shifting. Things that I've talked about in other videos, especially episode 7, when I talked about the various types of OBEs. Your consciousness entering into someone else's body is different than dream walking, where you are influencing a person's mind through going through their dream. Now, a dream walker will tell you it's the same thing. I personally make a distinction because of 2 reasons. The number 1 reason is this. When you are in another version of yourself, in another reality, that is very different than you purposely going into the consciousness of someone that you know in this reality to influence them in some way, shape, or form, even if they gave you permission. Those are 2 completely different things. The other thing about dream walking is it is a dream. So going into or entering the mind of someone else, you're doing it through a dream state where you're very lucid versus someone being in another dimension, on another plane, on another planet, in another version of that planet. It's still another plane, if you want to call it plane, world, realm, whatever. I'm just going to use plane. It's another plane of existence, and that's another version of yourself. Now, and so here's the thing. Technically, all of us are different versions of each other. And technically, this is a dream and everything is a dream. The world that we live in right here in this reality is simply a mind projection. So it is a dream. So a shaman or someone who is a dream walker will say that all of that is a dream. It's a dream. Consciousness travel, all that, it's a dream. So yes, that's dream walking. Well, so then to make the distinction between dream walking, consciousness shifting, and so many other various different type of otherworldly experiences or mystical experiences or spiritual experience, the difference is perspective. Okay? Perspective. I personally think we use too many labels in this reality. We're calling this, that, this, and this, all these various different labels. And it's like 2 people are talking about the same thing. They're arguing, no, it's this, no, it's that. And all it's like this exact same thing, except they're calling it different things based on how they perceive certain things to be. So for me, consciousness shifting or consciousness traveling, you go into another version of yourself, I'm calling that. I'm not calling it dream walking because I personally want to make the distinction between something that's happening where you're in another version of yourself versus purposely going into the mind of someone through the dream state in order to influence them. All right. So I just wanted to say that to make the distinction between the 2. And once again, I'm going to say this again. This is so important. If you dream walk, whether you're doing it purposely or you spontaneously end up in someone else's dream, a friend of yours or whatever the case may be, please do not attempt to influence them without their permission. All right. And when I mean permission, I mean their conscious permission. Now, another thing I want to point out is the difference between going into someone else's dream walking, versus meeting up with a person in the spirit realm. And they may or may not know that they're there. 9 times out of 10, they don't even know. So when you're in the spirit realm and you are communicating with the soul of another individual and y'all are just having this conversation, you're going back and forth about this and that, and you want to influence that person to make some changes in their life in this reality, that's cool. That's completely different than going into the mind of the individual, which is dream walking. That's what you're doing, and influencing them that way. When you're in the spirit realm communicating with another individual, they met up with you for some reason. Even when they don't know, like I said, 9 times out of 10, the people that you know in your life in this reality, if you meet up with them in the spirit realm, they don't have a clue in this reality that even happened. They don't even know. But to influence them in that realm is in integrity, because the spirit or soul of them met up with you for a reason. That aspect of them chose to be there, you see, versus you going into their dream world in their mind. And it's like they didn't ask you to come all up in their business, all up in their mind, all up in their space like that. You see, when you are communicating with someone in the spirit realm, there's a higher aspect or more expanded aspect of themselves that met up with you. So having that conversation of some issues that you guys have here in this reality and trying to get them to understand some things and may want to change their ways or whatever the case may be, that's cool. But when you're in the dream world and they don't even know, like in this reality, that you are all up in their mind, that's a whole other ball game. It's a whole other thing. That's why I say be in integrity with it. Look, I know I'm repeating myself and I'm talking about the integrity piece for a reason. I do not dream walk purposely for a reason, and I do not allow myself to be all up in someone else's mind spontaneously and stay there. You see what I'm saying? If I dream walk spontaneously, I'm getting up out of there and waking up from the dream. And the reason is this. I know of people, and I've met them, who use certain ways of getting into people's minds. They use their abilities to get in people's minds and to influence people. And the people don't even know that that's happening. There's no integrity in that. I have a big issue with that. There's people that use sacred geometry, sound frequencies, different types of rituals, different types of psychedelic substances and things to get into someone else's head. People think that they're going to a shaman or somebody who can give them whatever it is, whether it's, like I said, sacred geometry, some symbols they're looking at, or some sound frequencies to get into the theta or the alpha state, some rituals or some things to do, or psychedelics, because they want to have an out-of-body experience or have some type of lucid dream or whatever it is that they want to do and have that's mystical. They want to get into it, so they go to these people. That you have to do your due diligence. I've said this in another episode. I'm going to say it again. You got to know who you're dealing with, because a lot of people will take advantage of you. And they will give you these tools and things, which creates a bridge for them to literally walk or glide or enter into your mind to influence you in ways that you did not give them permission to do. This happens. I've met these people. And it's I'm not naming names. I'm not even going to go there, but I'm just saying I'm not about that. I am not about that at all. One of the reasons why I do not teach people who have never had an out-of-body experience before how to have an out-of-body experience is because there is a lot of, you have to, there's so many things that people don't know that they're getting into, that they think it's just going to be, oh, it's going to be fun and it's going to be this and it's going to be that, but their psyche is not ready for it. And so there's a responsibility that the teacher has to make sure that it's safe and it's a nurturing environment for that other individual. I'm not going to take on the responsibility of someone losing it and having some type of mental health breakdown because they weren't ready for the experience. You see, not everybody's ready. They think they are, but I only work with people who have already had the experience or they were on the brink of it already, such as when they've had the sleep paralysis state or something else that's telling me that, okay, they're ready. And those people, I don't mind giving them tips and tools and practical exercises to go ahead and have that out of body experience if it's not something that is happening for them often enough that they want to happen more often. But the person has never, ever had the experience and they want to have it so bad and they want to do this and they want to do that. I'm not going to teach them how to have it because I know that there's certain things that they are not yet ready for. We have been taught in this reality that things are a certain way, and it's like, it is not what you think. And also, when you have OBEs, when you astral travel, it's not always going to be the most pleasant of experience depending on how you treat your body. I'm not going to get into all of that in this episode, but again, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. For every positive, there's a negative. For every negative, there's a positive. There's dark, there's light, there's all these opposites of something. It's not always that you're going to experience the high vibrational, we're all one, loving, rainbows, butterflies type of experience. You may run into some entities that do not like you, some very low vibrational entities, and you need to know how to deal with them. All right? And for somebody who has never had an OBE before and they just want to have it so bad, I don't care. I'm going to do the microdoses. I'm going to listen to these beats and all of these various things. I'm going to look at the symbols. Whatever it is that they want to do to invoke it, the rituals or whatever. They may have the shock of their life that may not be, they could have a mental breakdown. They could have an emotional breakdown. They could lose it psychologically. They can go into a psychosis, and I'm not going to be responsible for that. So the way I approach it is that when a person is ready, the more expanded version of themselves is going to allow for it to happen. It's going to organically happen. It'll be spontaneous. That's the way that I look at it. When they are truly ready. Now, there are versions of yourself that may lead you to do some microdosing, lead you to do some type of ritual, some type of meditative practice, whatever it is, to induce or to invoke the OBE or the astral travel experience or whatever type of experience that you want to have. You may be led to do that. Okay, cool. However, there's the other side because there's different ways to get to a certain place. There's different paths that you can take, different roads you can take to do something, to get somewhere, right? I work with the people who are on the road where things, they organically happen, okay? I know that everyone has the ability to shift their reality and to do different things, whether you want to call it miraculous or just mystical, spiritual things, by tapping into their essence. And you can tap into your essence naturally. It's nothing that you have to do externally in order to make it and force it to happen. Yeah, you can. But when you allow for things to organically take place, then you'll be prepared for each stage and each level of the experience. So I help guide people through those levels, the ones who first have already had an experience or were on the brink of having the experience. If you are ready to be guided through those steps when it comes to out-of-body experiences, go to meetwithvernita.com. Let's have a conversation and see if it makes sense for us to move forward together. Also, if you have not checked out The Mystical View, the primer book that I created, please go to themysticalview.com And you can read it, you can listen to it because there's an audio version, and check that out so you can understand your multidimensional nature. If you're the type of person that feels like you have to do some external things to trigger this and trigger that and all these other things, or if you're the person who you're already having certain types of experiences and it's happening spontaneously and you got that fear and that anxiety, the first step is knowing more about your multidimensional nature and understanding your essence and where you came from, not just as a human being, but as a spirit, as a consciousness. So check that book out. It is free. This doesn't cost you a dime. When you go to the website, you don't even have to enter in your name or email address or any of that. I took all that stuff down. I just want people to just get the information as quick as possible without jumping through any type of hoops. Get the information. All right, so to quickly recap, if you want to know the difference between lucid dreaming and astral traveling, if you had a very vivid experience and you don't know, well, which one did I just have? Remember the two primary ways of distinguishing between the two. Number one is how much control you have in that reality. And number two is knowing whose world it is by asking. And number one, again, has three parts. Are you able to repeat the scenario? It's number one, or you can call it 1A. Let's call it 1A, all right? 1B, can you be the other person in the scenario? Whoever else is in there, the room with you or whatever is playing out, the other people, can you be that other person or not? 1B. And 1C, can you easily go through walls and ceilings, which you may have some trouble sometimes when it comes to a lucid dream, whereas in an astral realm, no problem. Again, that's not always the case. It's not a hard rule, but it's something to be mindful of because it can help you distinguish between the two. So those are the ways to determine whether you're having an astral travel experience or you're lucid dreaming. And with that said, I will see you on the next episode, episode 9. So look out for that.